If watching snuff films makes you an accomplice to murder, then Pappy is Joseph Stalin. This is spoilers.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
Jeez.
Hey now.
Hey now.
You ever seen a snuff film?
Hey, everybody.
One death is a tragedy. 1,000 is a statistic.
1,000 snuff films is an afternoon for Pappy.
Oh my God.
That's dark. Oh. Well, this is your host, Stevie. And today is a very special episode because today we have a Patreon request. This comes from one of our awesome patrons, Mike Marvin. And he asked us to spoil the 2013 long-forgotten, never-to-be-remembered again, The Counselor.
Whoa.
So we have that to look forward to, everybody. Cannot wait to talk about this film. Most importantly, though, Mike Marvin has an opening question for us, and this is what it is. And we will go from Weestus to Eastus. And the question is, what is the worst movie you remember with a standout performance?
Oh my God.
Tough question. Great question, but tough question.
Put me on the spot. I have literally no idea. Well, first of all, this is Pappy, recording from Louisville, Colorado. I'd like to start off my answer to that question with a formal apology to Brett. I screamed at him earlier this afternoon. I'm so happy he's here, though. I didn't mean it to scream at him like that. Worst movie with a standout performance? Dude, I literally have no idea.
Think in your brain. Think
Can
in
you,
your
like,
brain.
stop the pod for like 5 minutes so we can all like look it up?
Look what up. Just off the cuff.
What is my favorite movie with a bad performance? Let me look that up. Google it.
Not your favorite movie. What's the worst movie you've seen with a standout performance?
I'm going to say John Boyega in the Star Wars sequels. I feel like those... it's not the superlative...
That's a good one.
...most standout performance in the worst movie, but like I feel like those movies did him dirty. I fucking love John Boyega. Yeah, especially The Last Jedi, like when they're having him ride around on like ridiculous CGI critters. Like, I feel really bad for him. John Boyega in the sequels. Tough question.
This is Josh from Goshen, and I'd just like to point out to Pappy that he's not even like the best actor in that, because Adam Driver from Northern Indiana, just like us, is also in that.
True.
Kylo Ren. No Corey on the podcast tonight either, by the way, folks.
And by the way, Pappy, he heard what you said. Kylo heard what you said.
I don't doubt it.
Josh from Goshen, I'm going to go with Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and I think that movie is pretty crummy, and if it weren't for just a colorful bring-to-life performance by Jim Carrey, it's not even a movie. It's nothing. I think that's something Stevie's going to say a lot tonight and soon in Spoilers Future, that things are, quote, not a movie, not a film.
Oh my God. No, Ace Ventura is a movie. It is.
Okay, thank you. So that's my answer.
Maybe... Well, there's Michael Fassbender in The Snowman. It's a fantastic performance by Fassbender in there. I don't think anybody else could do what he does in that movie.
Another film featuring a Bolito.
Have you guys ever seen Transporter? It's a bad movie, but Jason Statham really kind of makes the movie for me. He's really fun and kicks a lot of ass in that movie. But Transporter is a bad series of movies.
I want to do a Brett and add another one. I'm going to say Han in Tokyo Drift is another one.
Okay, stop.
I love
That's a
Han.
good one.
I refuse to let you have any Tokyo Drift slander anymore on this pod. It's one of the best ones in the series. Let it go.
Doesn't mean much.
Brett?
Oh, is it me? I thought oh, man. I was looking for one. Without thinking too hard, I will go with, this is Brett from Fort Wayne, who cares? I'll go with Willem Dafoe in The Florida Project.
What?
Oh, yeah, you don't like that movie, do you?
I hated that movie so freaking much, but he's so good in it.
Such a good movie.
Do you see his Vigo in that movie?
No.
Oh, dang.
Did you hate
That
like
was the
this?
Antichrist.
Did you hate the subject matter or like
Yeah, I hated everybody in it.
even
I
the
guess
kids?
the filming aspect was... Oh, I guess the girl was okay. I hated the mom I hated her so much.
She's tough to watch. You didn't like the ending? What about the ending? This is spoilers. With the
I mean,
Pappy changed my mind on the ending.
You like that they snuck a camera in there. I mean, if you get past that, I don't know. I guess I'll go with the main character in The Collector.
Ooh, good one.
You mean the collector? Mr.
No,
Collector?
no, he's the title. He's the
You
title for
pal.
it.
The counselor?
Josh Stewart Arkin. That's who I'm going with.
He has a job title.
Regarding this guy's question, who is he implying has a great performance in The Counselor?
I have an idea. We'll get to that. I promise. Probably start off with that. But let me say.
By the way, Pappy, I forgive you, Pappy. You only do it because you care.
Thank you.
Come across as a douche sometimes. So
I know that I do.
I still love you, but
I thank you for formally accepting my apology on air. People love this kind of shit. So
yeah, I loved paying $4 for this movie.
well,
Oh, that was a mistake. This is one you gotta sail the high seas for.
we almost get that back in a month of Patreon, Brett. So.
I promise you guys,
investment.
the actors and writers and people that worked on this movie that are getting royalty checks from us are going to have a hard laugh come next month when they're like, who in the hell watched this movie again?
We've got a spike.
You got $20 for The Counselor? What the hell's going on?
A major influx to The Counselor this week. Spoilers influence.
They're going to start calling each other. Ridley's going to call Michael Fassbender. Did you watch this recently?
Did you tell
No.
your grandparents to buy this again, Michael?
Somebody get Penelope Cruz on the line. We gotta figure this out.
My standout performance is a movie that we actually covered, and it was The Last Airbender, which is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And it's a tad more coherent than this. But I thought Dev Patel gave his heart and soul to that movie when no one else would.
He's good in everything.
Did you just say The Last Airbender is better than this?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
I thought we said that Dev's acting was almost bizarre and that he was taking it so seriously.
Well, I
in
told
that
you
movie,
guys,
though.
like, I think there was a group meeting, like, we're all going to go all out. Then everybody but Dev got the memo that they weren't, and he just decided to keep running with it. Like, I wouldn't have been shocked if Dev Patel was method acting that entire time.
You got to look from side to side every once in a while as an actor or a person in real life and be like, am I getting too far outside the box right now?
Oh, well, let's get into this peculiar movie. I really don't feel like going over the plot because, quite frankly, I think we'd be running in circles for the next hour.
Hey, Stevie, can I start with the question?
Sure, Brett, what's up?
Do you think Javier Bardem was there during the shooting of that extremely awkward opening scene with Michael Fassbender and his real-life wife, Penelope Cruz?
Is that Javier Bardem's actual wife?
Yeah, they've been married since 2010.
Really? Huh.
Is that not one of the most unbelievably awkward opening scenes ever?
I genuinely get the sense that it's only about like eating pussy. Like I don't think it doesn't like inform any of the other characters. Like you don't really learn about anybody. It's just literally, hey, this movie's going to be about sex.
It's not even good sexy talk either.
No, it's super awkward. And then Brittany's like, oh my God, is his face wet? It's like, I think that's sweat, but who knows?
There was a mistake in the closed captions provided by the YouTube rental, but
What was the mistake?
they wrote that he says, "Oh my, you're trembling down there," or something like that.
Definitely not.
But really, he says, "Yeah,
Sopping.
oh boy." Thanks for saying that for me, Pat.
Moist.
I want you to touch me.
God, you're soft.
I know.
How'd you get yourself into such a state?
From thinking about you.
Thinking about me, what?
From thinking about your sweet face between my legs.
This whole, at least the first hour, is one random conversation with at least 50% dialogue that has absolutely nothing to do with the storyline, to another random conversation with another 50% talking about diamond cuts. I mean, it's just such a weird. I thought the first hour was really weird.
I hope we get to some of those individual ones, but in this first one, I just feel like Yeah, it's not very creative writing when he refers to her as a, quote, a sexy woman, like twice.
Well, Josh, that's what I was going to bring up. If you zoom in really hard on the opening credits, I know it says, written by Cormac McCarthy, but if you zoom in and zoom in and zoom in really hard, in tiny little lettering next to it, it says Cormac McCarthy's teenage grandson.
Yeah, that's funny.
Reader of No Country for Old Men.
It seemed to me like they were a couple that had literally met the night before and fell in love. That's what it seemed like to me. Like it seemed, obviously that's not what it was,
seemed like
but
a hookup.
It just seemed really awkward. Like they were just learning to get to know each other, but that's obviously not what happened. It's just, which I think is kind of shows it's kind of bad writing.
Well, that's why I was
acting like they're strangers.
Call this movie Tell Not Show the movie. But like Pap, also what's peculiar about this movie is why is this movie called The Counselor?
You called it a movie.
Why is this exercise in putting things on film called The Counselor?
I don't know. I mean, like, it's the main character. It to the point in the beginning where it's like every time Michael Fassbender walks in a room, everyone's like, "Hey, counselor!" Like, because that's like his cool character name. I don't know why he's the main character. To be honest, I don't. Presumably, there'd be like some more like arc to him, and like I guess like the whole thing is like he's greedy, and like he has some sort of like pressure to him, but like I don't know, like Stevie, I kept comparing it to a movie that you picked that's like really good called Drive.
Oh yeah,
which has another character called the driver,
the kid. A
similar sense, like you don't know the character's real name, and a lot of his motivations aren't cool. But like I don't know, Michael Fassbender's just not, or I should just say the counselor is just not that interesting of a character.
He didn't,
in my opinion.
Why was he the main character? Like that's like a far pseudo side character at best. I mean. If I were to pick, like, if they lined up these characters and said, who do you want to be the main character? Javier Bardem's character is the main character all day. Like, he actually has some depth to him.
Well, and like, when you call it the counselor, I kept thinking like this, because a lot of people I respect actually have given this a decent rating on Letterboxd and stuff, which just, I know, it just perplexes me. But like, I kept assuming there's got to be some kind of twist. Like, this guy's going to be clever. He's going to figure out a way to get out of it. He's going to, like, Penelope Cruz isn't going to die off screen. And that shit just never happens. He just kind of, like, is undone by some greed, by some motivation, which happens way before the story even starts. You know what I mean? You don't see him downfall. It's so weird. I don't get it.
I don't know if I'd characterize what he had as greed, per se, when, like, greed personified was Javier Bardem. But
true,
he definitely was in a tight spot, which they alluded to a couple times. I never really got into it, but I think he had a little bit little too rich for what wherever he was staying at the beginning, that was a humongous villa somewhere in El Paso or something. And then
drives a Bentley,
which I would say that one at least $200,000. And then when he's calling her, she's at their house and he's at this baller either hotel or an apartment in a city. I mean, he's had some money somewhere, but maybe he just wants to give her more. I mean, I'm guessing that wedding ring cost probably about what it cost for Britney's ring that I bought, probably $3-4 million. So I don't know. I just think he got in too deep.
Is the ring the cause of his woes then? Did the ring itself, like they make such a big deal about the ring? And in hindsight, that's the only thing that really would make sense, right?
Why did they make a big deal out of the ring? I've never understood it. Maybe
because that's the ring that put him in debt that he needs to steal or traffic drugs to get out of.
The ring of power.
But if he's that clever of a counselor, everybody's always calling him a smartass and super clever, and you'll find a way out of it. Why would he go into an exorbitant amount of debt for a ring if he's that clever?
True love. Love is blind.
But Penelope Cruz is like religious and humble. Like, she doesn't care.
Yeah.
And why go to Amsterdam of all places?
I hate that scene so fucking much. That guy is so, like, Stevie, I think you said this to me, this movie's so far up its own ass.
Yes.
Like, that whole monologue is so far up its own ass. Like, I had to pause it a couple times because I was like just trying to like figure out what he's saying. He gives this whole monologue about cautionary diamonds, and like basically the long and short of it is like, to adorn someone is to remind your wife of her frailty and like basically the fact that she'll die someday, but a stone lives on forever.
Written by key jewelers.
Cringy.
We are literally
Yeah.
about to watch a movie that is 10 times better than this and involves a big diamond in a country right next to the Netherlands, and I can't wait to talk about that movie. But that's Snatch. They're in Antwerp. And,
Three Ninjas? Oh.
well,
I thought he
in the
was going to
features.
say Uncut Gems. I was so excited.
Can we talk about another connection with this movie? And that's that Javier Bardem is in at least two Cormac McCarthy movies.
Yeah.
And I'd like us to keep in mind how the Coen brothers were able to bring No Country for Old Men alive, and then like versus maybe the failures of this movie by Ridley Scott. I just think that could be...
Don't call it a movie.
I think there's a lot of similarities if you think about it.
I don't know why Ridley Scott directed this. This doesn't seem like his kind of thing.
I think
does
he
it?
wanted a new house, man.
5 movie club, Ridley Scott, the second most of any director in the history of this podcast.
And his first stinker? Does he have... I don't know. What are the other ones? Just all aliens? Or what?
Legend.
Hey, Legend is no
Blade
stinker,
Runner.
friend.
I bet you the score for Legend his meta score is a lot lower than this one.
Alien Resurrection, and Blade Runner. I think that's it.
Yeah, it's just like not his genre or style. I mean, it looks good and everything. It's a fine looking movie, but it's just...
And he dedicated it to his
I don't
brother.
know. It's like half of the movie is just all these dudes talking about like different ways they've had sex or something. It's just like all guy
Oh my
bro
God,
talk.
That
I don't know,
Lamborghini
it's
scene
just-
was like so uncomfortable. Do
The
not,
Ferrari,
do not
California?
ask me. Yeah, Ferrari. Do not ask me to go over that scene.
Brett,
Is that supposed to be comedy?
I
Like,
don't
is
know what
supposed to
that
be
was. I
funny?
do not know what that was.
It's supposed to be like Tarantino, right?
Oh
like
my
so
God.
out there and crazy. It's crazy. It's zany.
Or to show that she'll, like Cameron Diaz will do anything.
She's like asserting her dominance, right? That's like what the quote deeper meaning is here. Right? Right? Get it?
You get it?
Sure.
You get it?
Like a catfish.
Anybody who fucks my car, I'm going to look at strangely. And I'm going to question our relationship after that point.
Well, then you'll be like, oh, wait, I have a Ferrari. I can find somebody else who's not crazy.
Mikey, you said you liked the way this movie looks. What was your favorite scene where two men are talking in a nice room?
Well, that narrows it down to about 90% of the movie. So, I really like...
I'm sorry, but every scene looks like you and I are big Grand Theft Auto fans, right?
Yeah.
Every scene looks like a cutaway scene from Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah. A cutscene. I don't know. The 10 seconds we got of John Leguizamo was pretty entertaining. That was a
pretty funny scene, actually.
That was a pretty funny scene. Like, at least it gave like, I don't know, like some behind the scenes into what goes on with this cartel or whatever, and like how they're moving the drugs and stuff like that. But everything else is just Fassbender and Brad Pitt talking, or Penelope Cruz and Cameron Diaz talking.
The scene with Hank, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are they talking about?
The drums and the dead body and why they bring 4 drums when they only fill up 3 with drugs or whatever.
Gotcha.
And one barrel is filled with a prank body, and they just ship around a dead
Gotcha.
Colombian. Yeah.
South Bend native.
Classic.
This movie doesn't even bother to give a pretense as to why Hank is there acting so suspicious. Like, hey, can I see the body? Hey, how do you guys move drugs? Like, what the fuck? Like, why is this white guy there
Yeah, I
asking
thought he
us
was going to be a
questions?
cop.
Was he the buyer?
I thought he was a cop. I thought he was going to be like undercover or something, but we never come back to it. The movie just moves on.
This movie has a lot of unanswered questions. And Josh, my God, what do you make of Cameron Diaz's outlandish, cartoony-like character?
Ugh.
Or performance, for that matter.
She's
It also makes me think that Cormac McCarthy hasn't spoken to a woman in 3 decades.
Dean Norris, who plays Hank in Breaking Bad, was born in South Bend, Indiana.
Let's go.
Which
Nice.
is
I
huge.
think he went to Mishawaka.
Yeah, a lot of good actors come from Mishawaka. We're going to just keep dropping them on this pod. Let's go. I don't know. Cameron Diaz, yeah, she's kind of like quit acting a bit since then, hasn't she? Like, I think
For better.
this is her like idea or a chance to like maybe try to stretch out as an actress and not just be like a cute thing, you know? But like,
Whoa.
when you take this, I just think those were the roles she was given. It's not like her fault. And I think
We've all seen The Mask.
she turns into that in this movie, like, anyway, despite it.
She did like retire. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. So not the best time.
I don't think I miss things. I think to miss something is to hope that it will come back. But it's not coming back. I've always known that since I was a girl.
You don't think that's a bit cold?
I think truth has no temperature.
Do you like her gold tooth, Josh?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it reminds me of Spring Breakers with what's his name? Her and who is that?
Alien?
The riffraff?
Alien?
Yeah, they would be like a great power couple.
Yeah, Stevie, you're right. Everybody does look like a Grand Theft Auto
Everyone looks like a Grand Theft Auto
movie.
character. Like, you're just weaving in and
Javier
out of these
Bardem
dumbass people's lives.
Looks like a randomized created character.
100%. Oh my gosh, Mikey, that is perfect. That is.
He looks so weird. Spiky hair, very ugly clothes in every scene. Just, I don't know. It's all rich people's style and stuff like that, but it's all just way over the top and very gaudy.
Brittany, we were talking about it, and I think she's definitely right, especially with one of you guys who said that, but she said Cameron Diaz's acting was so bad. She said, if I would have not known who she was, I would have thought that she was just like some actress, I don't know, making her first her debut or something like, I mean.
From like a different country.
Yeah. Like she was like the guy in Highlander. It's like, why won't they give me the money? I mean, like she was just like.
Why won't they fight me?
I have a question for Pappy. There's a scene early on in here where they show like a high-end party.
Oh my god.
Sure.
Why can Paul Thomas Anderson do this well, but it's so boring in this movie?
I feel like, here's my theory, because I was like reading back through like the screenplay, because I was like so like perplexed by like some of the dialogues, because like the dialogue, it's literally like people will just answer questions with questions, and nothing is ever like established, but it's not like for any like thematic mysterious reason. It just annoys the shit out of me. And like I was reading, but when you read back through it, like when I'm reading it, I read it like way faster than the movie like shows it. You know what I mean? Because like when you're reading, like I say something, you say something, I say something, you say something. Like I kind of just like read that quickly, like rapid fire.
Is the script more breakneck?
It is in my brain, like when I read it, but like when it's talking, it's like, why would you tell me that? Why would that be something you would ask about? How am I supposed to forget about your wife fucking that car? You know, like that type of thing. It's like really slow and weird and boring. I think it's like an execution.
It's enough. I keep going back to what Mikey said about Javier Bardem. It's like Cormac McCarthy to me, and I don't know if I can actually explain this, but he seems like a book writer who wrote a script for the first time. Like, because dialogue
I think that's
is
what
huge.
it was, Brett.
Dialogue is huge in books. You have to have good dialogue. And then, like what Mikey was talking about with Javier Bardem earlier, it's like, it makes sense for him. It doesn't make sense for Ridley Scott. Like, a first-time director would be like, party scene, rich people party. And that's exactly what a first-time filmmaker would see. Get some good-looking people. They're literally doing nothing. You can't hear them talking. But that's like someone who's never seen a Hollywood party or a rich person's
Someone
party.
who's ever even been to a party.
Right. That's their idea of what it's like. But it's so bland. And like, yeah, I guess we'll talk about it. I mean, it sounds like Cormac McCarthy's like, oh, writing a script should be really easy. And there's a reason why they don't usually ask the book writer to write the movies, because it's a way different medium.
There's also so much just less attention to detail. Like, this might be a stupid CinemaSins-y thing, but they go to Javier Bardem's office. Of course, he's like, counselor, like, because you got to say like the name of the movie or whatever. And like the counselor goes, he's like commenting on like his displays. He's like, you know what all this stuff means? And they show the wall, and it's like literally like one line graph, a weather chart, and like a news channel or something. And then Javier Bardem's like, I don't know, maybe. It's pretty complicated. It's like, what? What are you talking about?
He's checking his stonks.
One stonk, one graph. You know what this means? It's going up.
Yeah, I mean, even in that scene, it's they're just talking, and we get the rumblings of like, he's Javier Bardem is like asking Fassbender, the counselor, if he's gonna take part in this deal or whatever, and we still don't know what the deal is. I mean, I guess we can assume that it's drugs because the beginning or the I think they show something about drugs or something.
Yeah, put him
in
the tubs or whatever.
Yeah,
the
being
sewage tanks.
The pre-transport.
Yeah, but like we still kind of have like no idea what they're even talking about, and then Javier Bardem is just like talking about the Bolito thing that kills Brad Pitt later on in the movie, and it's like, what is happening right now? What is this dialogue leading to? Like, and then they're going back and forth between like sex talk with Cameron Diaz and Penelope Cruz and cartel talk, and it's like, what is even
Why
going
is
on
every
here?
scene a goddamn philosophy lesson? Every single scene. I mean, it's like Pappy said, they're just literally like Michael Fassbender asks a question, Brad Pitt, Javier Bardem, the Diamond guy will shoot back with another question, and then eventually like a scene will just end and we learned nothing. The story has gone nowhere.
Yeah, it's like people don't talk like that in real life.
I mean, it makes me think Cormac
It's
McCarthy has
unnatural.
never talked to another human being.
His books are weird. I mean, have you ever read The Road? It's like not written by a normal person.
I've read I read two of his border ones, which were I read No Country for Old Men, and also forget what the other one was called, but most of his books have to deal with the border. Like a lot of them deal with kind of the border and drugs.
Does he not like Mexicans? Why is it always
No, I don't think
always
he
revolving
looks,
around the border?
I mean, if you read the book, I don't think he looks very kindly on Hispanics or Mexicans at all.
Why is the road so weird, Brett?
There's like no punctuation or line breaks or something.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like, I mean, I haven't read it since 2000. I actually read this one. I think it's just a weird writing style. I thought he did it in No Country for Old Men too. That's what Josh's best friend Drew Rockland said.
Well, Stevie before this pod was mentioning how, I don't know where you dug this term up from, Stevie, but this movie's all about causal determinism, and he's probably right. But Stevie, did you consider that maybe it's who will counsel the counselor?
Ooh,
and that's the theme.
Ooh, that's a hot lead.
Well, if he has to find somebody to counsel him, he's not much of a counselor. I mean,
Tell me something sexy.
Like, honestly,
Sexy woman.
it just this movie is just so perplexing to even like get through. It's why I call it even barely a movie. Maybe Mike, hit us up on Patreon or email us. Maybe Mike thinks that Brad Pitt was a standout performance, because I actually kind of like his character. Anybody else?
Yeah, actually, I mean, you're gonna rake me over the coal. I didn't hate Michael Fassbender in this movie.
He wasn't a main character.
I just thought he was so boring.
I just thought that, I mean, they didn't give him a lot to go with. I guess I just like him. I'm not the person to say, but yeah, Brad Pitt was Brad Pitt, so.
I wish Brad Pitt was playing Fassbender's character and vice versa, but then I think it would be too much like Seven with the end scene. You'd be like, what's in the DVD? What's in the DVD?
All I have is a VCR in this shit hotel room.
I feel like we were beaten down by all the bad dialogue, because I feel like the scene with Hefe and him at the end could have been really, really beautiful. But like, even that got way too philosophical and probably lasted about an extra minute. But like, I felt like Hefe cared a little bit more than he normally, his psychopathic mind would care. Like, he actually maybe felt for the guy and actually felt Fassbender's pain. But again, it's like, after all that crap we went through, it's just like, this is just another conversation where they're talking about a freaking Mexican poet named Machado, who none of us have ever heard of.
Classic
Wasn't
Machado.
he just being really like sadistic and trying to like...
Kinda. I mean, yeah, I guess. But
just trying to drag his pain out and like listen to it. Yeah, listen to how much this guy.
Listen to my philosophy lesson.
That's possible.
That's what annoys me about it, though, because he specifically says, like, people like you think they're at a crossroads, but they're really not. The decision has been made for them. And, like, later on in the conversation, Michael Fassbender's like, but you said I was a man at a crossroads. And it's like, no, he didn't fucking say that at all. You weren't listening to him. Like,
you were literally just going to call him Michael Fender Bender, weren't you?
Basically.
That's what this movie is, a fender bender.
If you stop crying long enough to listen to the fucking words coming out of my mouth, Fassbender. He's crying all the time in this movie, tear boy.
I'll give you this, Brett. When he's being a counselor, like to Rosie Perez or whatever, I like him in that scene because I think like the fast dialogue, his smart ass personality is coming through. Like when he's like 206, that's like a time of day or a weight, not like a speed or something. Like it's a little quick, interesting line. Like I wish we got more of like seeing him being good and then like him having a character arc and like having a downfall or like a fatal flaw or something, as opposed to just like, oh, this is just a weird coincidence thing that's going to actually determine the whole plot.
Yeah, literally he did nothing wrong. Like they treat him last half of the movie like he was a piece of crap that screwed up really bad. I mean, obviously he made a mistake by getting involved with it, but you know, Javier Bardem had done probably dozens of those and never had to sweat, but this just the most brutal coincidence. It's super obvious coincidence too, by the way. I'm not judging the cartel. I love you guys, whatever. I hate you, whatever. Cut that. Edit point. But like,
big listeners of the pod, the cartel.
He literally didn't do anything wrong, and
don't they get the drugs back?
Yeah.
Yes, everything happens.
What?
So there's just like a random white guy that's like beheads the guy on the motorcycle, which is a cool scene. It's decent. It's a interesting. It's like the most interesting part.
If other cars
of
don't exist,
that's like a collector prank.
Yeah, it's super collector-y. But it's just a random white guy who ends up finding out where these drugs are and ends up stealing them, and then he gets murdered like 5 minutes later in the road.
Not a random white guy.
It's Cameron
Diaz's henchman
was trying to steal them, which I didn't realize. I thought she was maybe just trying to lure Brad Pitt out. But if you look at Wikipedia,
why is she like trying to steal them
for money?
But
she's already rich. She's rich with Javier Bardem.
The whole point is greed. That's
400% return,
she's
Mikey.
She's famished. Do not stop crying, Mikey, and listen to her. She's
she does
famished.
say something about like her family was thrown out of a helicopter. So I was wondering if this is like a whole revenge thing that was obviously not explained well.
I just thought that meant that her parents had been involved with shady people too, but I don't know.
So help me through this. I want to like try and say this like as clearly as I possibly can decipher. So the plan was Javier Bardem and Brad Pitt have worked together for a long time. They finance cocaine deals. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's a surety bond thing where they put up money to make sure that stuff gets in there. They finance it, like you said. And that's all they do. I mean, if it gets there, they get their, like Stevie said, their $4% return.
But if they don't, they're basically insuring it. Is their role in this? That's what you're saying.
I mean, right? Again, it's hard to say they're insuring it because they have nothing to do with it. Maybe financing is more of a is more of a thing, but they actually mention surety bonds. They mention surety in that, and that has to do with putting up money and saying, I'm putting this money up and I will guarantee you that this will get to where it goes. So that's pretty much what that is.
That's an important point though, because they're the ultimate financiers of this thing. Michael Fassbender is, quote, in a tight spot or something, unquote. So he joins them in this financing. In a tight spot. Yeah, George Clooney. Oh, brother, art thou style. So he is this millionaire, but also takes court-appointed capital murder cases.
That was weird. I was trying to tell Brittany, I was like, yeah, maybe he does pro bono. Then I was like, wait, pro bono lawyers don't drive Bentleys.
One of those pro bono cases was Rosie Perez, who happens to be the mother of the Green Hornet.
Yeah.
Who AKA the motorcycle guy.
Yeah.
Who is facilitating a connection on the truck, which allows the cartel to then transport the drugs later on. and because Michael Fassbender bailed him out of jail, just coincidentally, the cartel thinks that they're stealing the shipment that they ultimately financed?
Well, since the drugs were stolen, they thought that they were going
why
to...
would they steal the drugs that they were paying, that it was contingent on? They don't get the return on investment.
Because
once
if they
gets
sell
there.
it themselves, they'll make $100 million.
So it's just... The cartel thinks they're just being opportunistic,
Yes.
and they just found
They
this
just
drug.
thought it was like you said, that it's a huge coincidence
So
to us,
stupid,
but to
though.
them, they don't believe in it.
So dumb.
Doesn't the cartel also have to like show that they won't take this lying down? Almost as like they got to put the blame on someone, and the only place to really do it would be like the last known contact. So
Yeah.
they would show weakness, and they wouldn't be the predator,
But-
and they wouldn't be famished.
Right. So, but the cartel thinks that Michael Fassbender's plan was to bail the Green Hornet out of jail and then decapitate like on the road, like with a wire. Why would he bail him out of jail then kill him? Like, what would be the point of?
Well,
that?
it's not. He wasn't trying to. I mean, if that was what happened, which it wasn't,
If
it
yeah,
would
that's
be
what the
to
cartel
steal
thinks
that,
what happens.
that thing, which I had to look up what it was. They didn't care about killing that guy. They just knew that he had that thing that started the trucks. It's like
Jeez,
it's like
Brett,
sorry, what?
just you're being Brett McKelly.
What's that supposed to mean? All right,
I think
I'm done.
I think Pappy has
Josh,
some
that was one
legitimate.
of your worst puns or attempts at a pun.
Brett, I don't get it.
Apparently Brett
McKelly.
whatever that means.
What does that mean?
I just think Pappy's trying to point out that some of this is meaningless, and it's almost like Star Wars, where this needs like a whole Clone Wars series to make it make sense. And Brett is stepping in as that Clone Wars with the plot. It's like,
I guess only Stevie can answer and do those things.
No, but do you really get this from like a one-time or even multiple-time viewing? Like,
I think I do.
I understood that, and I was half watching because it was really boring. But yeah, that's like the one inciting incident is like he bailed the guy out $400, and then he had a death sentence on his head because he bailed that specific guy out. I do enjoy Rosie Perez's motherly intuition that her son died or got decapitated. That was so fucking dumb.
So dumb.
I don't understand why they made the plot so convoluted for what is essentially just a drug theft. I don't know. They could have found a more clever way to pin it on Fassbender other than that. I mean, it just seems so weak of a plot point to do.
What is the point of the ending? Like, do they still want to find Fassbender? Do they want to get to the bottom of like why the drugs were temporarily stolen? Why did they kill his fiance? I don't understand.
I mean, that's what the cartel does. Is like they'll just kill anybody connected, and they'll just to prove a point or whatever. But I don't know why I don't know, like, if the climax of Fassbender crying in the hotel room, the shitty hotel room, is the end of his plotline, or if he's still like getting hunted by the cartel or whatever.
well, they know where he is.
Yeah, they gave him a DVD in a VCR only hotel room.
That's true. He's probably dead, but we don't get to see that.
Josh, what'd you make of one of our very few payoffs in this movie, which was the Brad Pitt Bolito scene?
Pretty gross. It belongs more so in like a Saw movie,
Doesn't it?
To be honest, yeah. But they teased it, I guess, for writing's sake. They showed it, and they didn't back away from it. You see his like fingers laying on the ground. Like he really describes earlier in the movie how you don't actually die from choking, you die because your carotid artery gets cut, and that bystanders will get sprayed with blood, and that all happens. It's kind of sickening, really. But there's one scene, I don't know, I feel like they could have dove deeper into this, but like Brad Pitt is like sitting on a window ledge with his fingers under it as it's tightening. And one of them cuts to him like laughing for like a split second. And it's like 1 second of depth from Brad Pitt that's enjoyable to see, but it like almost doesn't make sense because his character is so flat otherwise in this movie. Do you know what I'm talking about? Those like weird cuts.
That whole sequence just felt like they shot him from like 5 different angles for like 3 minutes of just dying, and just like found the best from each camera. It just felt so cobbled together and random. There's no rhyme or reason to that sequence, like at all.
Yeah, it had some Liam Neeson jumping over the fence with 30 different cuts type vibes.
You guys said that Brad Pitt was like good. This is probably like the least engaging I've ever seen him on film. I had that as a note, actually. Like,
That's how bad this movie is. It made Brad Pitt look bad.
First of all, this is the least attractive I've ever seen him in any movie, and he's still the most engaging character. I wish the movie was focused more on him, and he's in the movie for about 10 minutes. Really could have used less Fassbender and more Brad Pitt.
how awkward was it when he's like hitting on Natalie Dorner's character? This was, again, like no one's ever talked to a real person here at the writer's table.
If you look like Brad Pitt, you can say whatever the fuck you want. It doesn't really matter.
One thing I love about this movie it's so cringe for at least 80% of this movie, is nearly every scene starts with, you know what women really like? Let me tell ya. And it's just the most god-awful writing you've ever heard.
Morning, counselor.
Morning. Malkina.
Hola, guapo.
Hey.
How's Laura?
Incredible.
That says I'm all right. Nice lady, nice lady. I assume she's not privy to your newest business venture.
She's not? And your lady?
Yeah.
Yeah, what?
I don't know what she knows. I don't want to know.
You don't trust her?
Jesus, counselor, she's a woman. Yeah, well, I don't mean to sound that cold. I just mean that where men are concerned, they've got their own agenda. I always like smart women, but it's been an expensive hobby, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't even know if it's like, is it supposed to be like a commentary on misogyny? You know what I mean? Like, is Javier Bardem's character, who's always talking about like women like that, and he gets shot, you know what I mean? Is that supposed to be like saying something, Stevie?
I don't know.
Were they trying to say something when they say the word Boise between Michael Fassbender and Penelope Cruz like 20 times in 2 minutes of screen time? Boise, 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 Boise.
How about Boise?
Boise.
Boise.
Why Boise?
What's wrong with Boise?
Have you ever been to Boise?
No, have you?
No. You have a hotel?
I'm looking as we speak. Tomorrow.
Boise.
Yeah, Boise.
You know it's actually pronounced Boise?
Is it really?
Yeah. My boss is from there, and I've said it wrong a few times, and so I get corrected.
So people from Boise take umbrage with it being called Boise.
Who cares?
I think you got to find a new job.
Brett, you're going to piss off all of our listeners in Boise with talk like that.
Yeah, whatever.
My boss is awesome, by the way.
Pappy, with a complete failure that this movie is and was at the time, how shocked are you that Sicario ever got made?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I feel like this movie was trying to be Sicario in its time, and like what Sicario is on every level, this movie just isn't.
I guess it's different in the sense that if this is like some kind of like condemnation of misogyny, Sicario is more of told from like a female perspective. You also have the difference of a young up-and-coming director versus an old director who's already won an Oscar and maybe sitting on his laurels a couple times.
Just a few.
I don't know. I think Mikey, you said it best in your Letterboxd review. It's like, how do you make a movie about drugs so fucking boring or something like that? Like,
it is.
why?
It's so boring.
How's that
It's like,
possible?
Besides the fact of, I don't know. I don't even think. I mean, I said it looked good, but it's like it's not even the. I think Sicario looks better. Sicario looks way better than this
way
movie.
better.
And
Deacons.
it's just like I don't even want to look at my MacBook when I'm watching this thing. It's like God. I was checking Twitter. I was just like listening to it like a podcast because it's just so boring.
There's almost no like good cinematic moments that I could even think of.
No.
One time I was like, I want to pause that and like make that like a desktop back. I can't think of one shot where I was like, oh, that's cool or interesting.
Well, that's what you get when you put two men in a room and have them talk for 90% of the movie. It's like you're not going to get those shots because there's just nothing to look at.
I think there's something else though too. Like a lot of movies are like that. Like I don't know, Pan's Labyrinth has like some striking violence in it, but and then there's a lot of dialogue too. But I don't know how to describe it. I think there's something about the dialogue specifically. Like you can have a lot of dialogue in a movie and it still can be fascinating, right?
Dialogue has to push a movie forward, Josh.
Is that what it is? They just philosophize and go around and around?
90% of this movie.
Well, Brett, you're a big Aaron Sorkin guy, right?
Yes.
How do people always characterize an Aaron Sorkin work? Blank and blank. What do they say?
Witty and, I don't know.
Walk and talk.
Walk and talk.
Yeah, that's his big thing.
Yeah.
If you watch an episode of West Wing,
yes,
that's literally 80% of what happens.
That adds so much to like a cinematic perspective when people are moving or being dynamic. Like Stevie said, that people are literally just like, I guess, sitting in opulence, but it's not even that interesting or interestingly photographed or like, I don't know. There's like nothing that cool about these conversations. They're just philosophical nonsense of people going back and forth.
Like with a scene, I mean, in a typical movie, a scene starts out with, every character has wants and they kind of always have their own agendas. And at the end, we learn something new. In this movie, I never know what anybody wants and we never learn anything in every scene. It's just very hard to wade through this movie. What this movie to me is, it's why I barely even called it a movie. It just seems like a collection of some cool ideas they tried to attach a story to. Like the biker getting his head cut off with a wire. That scene,
Cheetahs.
That scene in itself is pretty cool. If you just put that by itself, you're like, I wonder where this story could go. If that story just started with that, if this movie started with the biker getting his head cut off scene, like that just puts your brain in so many different directions going, I wonder where this movie can go. But I feel like this movie immediately boxes itself in boredom. Do
you think if it was like ordered differently, Stevie, they could have played that up a little bit? Like,
it's not the fact of order, Josh. You could still tell this movie like in order. And you could tell it out of order and it'd still be really boring because your payoffs would be so minimal because there are barely any payoffs in this movie. Like there's no character depth. There's no stakes. By the time that Penelope Cruz gets kidnapped, I don't care. By the time she dies, I really don't care.
Okay, what if the beginning of the movie is like Fassbender getting the DVD and like sobbing, and then the last scene, even though he's died on screen, is Javier saying like that whole thing about like what they would do if they would film something and put it on tape and send it to someone.
The only thing we get to a payoff is the Bolito thing.
That's it.
And it should have been on Fassbender. Payoff. It shouldn't have been on Brad Pitt. It should have been on Fassbender.
Story-wise, Mikey's right. It should have been on Fassbender. 100%.
At least if you structure it the way you're proposing it, Josh, like, it asks a question that it eventually answers. This is like, what would you call it, Stevie? Like a tragedy? Like a downfall of a character? But it starts like a little bit too late in the story.
But to do that, you have to have a character at a tie. Like, by the time we already meet Michael Fassbender, he's already in a pinch. And like, quite frankly, I don't care about his downfall because there are no stakes.
And that's what they say in the final speech. It's like, you had already made your choice. Like, you had already like picked your destiny or whatever. You weren't really at that crossroads. But it's like, that's not good storytelling, though. You know what I mean? Like, that's not interesting. Like, and you're just pointing out like what you just did. This isn't as cool as you think it is. I promise you.
Fassbender could have gotten a cubic zirconium for Penelope Cruz, and she would have been none the wiser, and he would have never been put in this situation. Never would have got his girlfriend murdered. Snuff filmed.
Brett, you grew up Catholic with me, right? St.
Yeah,
Vincent's.
I mean, I'd still consider myself Catholic, but yes.
Along with Stevie, how much did you hate the confession scene? That scene fucking annoyed me so much.
I did not like that at all. It's like you can be a heretic or atheist or whatever. Nobody cares. Just that's terrible. What was the point of that? To show that she's bad and she'll do anything?
One of the worst parts is she starts it off with "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned," which I don't even think that's like what you actually say.
It's "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned."
Right. And then the priest is like, how could you know the magic Catholic words? It's like maybe she just watched any TV show in the past 30 years and saw people say, "Bless me, Father, if I am sin." Like, what do you mean? It's not some big, like, secret fucking ritual or something.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I mean, it just didn't fit in very well.
What also bothers me a fair deal about this movie is, like, I feel like it's so up its own ass trying to be grounded in reality of, oh, this is how things work down here. It's a completely different world. Well, that's all fine and dandy. But with Javier Bardem's character, they never call him a trust fund baby or like, he inherited his money. It seems like he actually worked hard for his money. He was smart with his money. He did things in a calculated way and he eventually rose to the top. I highly doubt a man like that would like entrust a call girl that he eventually marries with like so much of his private information.
Stevie, do you think like was the movie trying to go with some weird parallels between Javier Bardem's character and Penelope Cruz's character in that they both got involved with someone who like pulled them into something that ended up being their downfall? Like, I don't think it executes that well, but I was like, is that something that's are they trying to say that?
Well, yeah, I mean, they have that mirror scene, which is Cameron Diaz kind of, passively aggressively getting after Penelope Cruz when they're getting massages at the spa.
Why are they even interacting? That's so weird.
How do they even know each other?
And also, there's also no payoff at the Polo Grounds with that guy that's getting after Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, what was that? That was so awkward.
I didn't even realize that. I completely forgot about that. I kept waiting for it to come back, and it never really did. That's weird.
So what, Fassbender screwed him over as a lawyer or something? Or because I'm assuming this is his first foray into like illegal stuff, I guess.
Well,
this
on Wiki, it says
deal.
that Michael Fassbender is a lawyer for the cartel, but it never says that in the film once.
Definitely not.
Like, it never once says that he is a lawyer for the cartel.
Like, maybe in the sense that Rosie Perez is his client.
Yeah,
so, like,
I guess.
But not really. He was court appointed.
Well, it makes sense, though, that he would, like, call all those people at the end because he would know them. Because he's probably represented them or represented people for them. But the idea that we get through this entire movie and it never once makes mention of not only like are you getting into this with the cartel, but you've actually represented these people before.
Here's my theory. There's like 140, 150, maybe even pushing 180 minute cut of this movie that makes way more sense, but is like way fucking more boring. You know what I mean? And so they just had to choose between something that's not going to make much sense or something that's going to be like incredibly boring and they're not going to be able to show as many times.
Release the Snyder cut, please.
Oh, God.
Black and white, 3x6.
Release the Leguizamo cut. I need more Leguizamo.
Honestly, Mikey, I think there's a movie in there of like his job all day unloading these drugs and like reloading the last barrel.
Part.
I think there's like a really small indie film there that would be really effective.
It could be a comedy.
I love that you're saying that, CV, because I feel like I know a scene that you did like, and I think they go back to it like 3 times. But it's anytime they're showing like the welding or fixing of the truck, or they're like gassing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting.
If the movie could move at that pace, that'd be awesome. That'd be almost like Mad Max.
Like, yeah, if you're going to have a really drawn out story like this takes, I mean, in Greek myth, people take a lot of scenic routes to get what they want. They take the long way a lot. Stories take forever. I feel like this movie tried to do the same thing, but it's just boring. So if this movie ever moved at a breakneck speed and the entire score could have been a ticking clock, it might have been somewhat effective. But it's just so boring and drawn out and up its own ass. I never get to caring about anybody or anything.
There's like one cool cut in that part where you're talking about, Josh, where it like matches patching a bullet hole in the truck with the dude who got shot patching his leg up. Like, it's a really cool like cut between the two things, and like the hole is like in the exact same spot in the frame or whatever. So it's like this movie has just enough moments of like competence that's ultimately its downfall. You know what I mean? It's not so bad it's good. It's just like boring and like existing. You know what I mean? I would definitely call it like a movie because it's not like it's not like there's not bad sound. You know what I mean? It's not like poorly made. It's a real production, but it's just like real boring as a production.
Brett, I'm sorry for calling you McCorthack or whatever. Gosh, get back in here. I'm also
you took all the fun away from me.
Pre-pod, I was like, I think this is a book, and I owe Brett an apology for saying that.
No,
too.
you don't.
Oh, before we get into yes or no, do you guys have any final thoughts?
Did Mike say who he thought was the good?
No.
The good. Oh, okay. Why ask that question? Because there's nobody in this.
It has to be Javier Bardem or Brad Pitt.
We got to talk about the ending, Stevie. What happens in the ending? Because we haven't talked about Natalie Dormer at all. Like, not really. Like, what is her role in this?
I mean, that seems. As I said, that's why I barely. Okay, you know what? It's not even a story because it's a collection of ideas. So Cameron Diaz hires Natalie Dormer to sleep with Brad Pitt because his one crux in the entire world is women.
It's everybody's crux in this movie, though.
Everybody's crux is women. And so she sleeps with him, gets the bank codes, and that's after that, Brad Pitt gets his head taken off.
That's a great example of why No Country for Old Men is so much greater. Like, you can use that theme and tell that whole story in just like a glance. And that hesitation at the end of No Country is like why the protagonist is like taken out, right? And you don't even need to see like the gruesome murder either. He's just like in a pool floating. But in this, they like show Brad Pitt's beheading, and it's still boring somehow.
What money did Brad Pitt have?
He had a computer?
I think he had a computer with like the access key or whatever. I don't know.
True.
To what?
Yeah, I don't know.
His
Brett.
offshore bank accounts.
But is that just his own money? Not related to
so
this
Cameron
deal?
Diaz pivots her whole plot to stealing his money?
No, I mean, am I allowed to say?
Please, Brett.
Okay. That's what I originally thought, but when I looked it up on Wikipedia, she wanted to steal the drugs, but that didn't work. So, which I think is one of the reasons what bothered me, but now I'm starting to think about it, is I hated the fact that Brad Pitt, who has been in this game for a long time, was so relaxed when he got to London. And I was trying to figure out why he didn't have his head on the swivel. I'm guessing it's because he thought he was away from the cartel, but he didn't think that he was being set up by what's-her-face, Cameron Diaz. So he said earlier in the movie that his...
Wait. Sorry. Brad Pitt... So Cameron Diaz...
After her plot failed...
Wait, you're saying that the cartel kills him, though, right? Not Cameron Diaz.
No, Cameron Diaz does. I think that's why he's so relaxed, is because he's
in a very cartel way, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
Stupid as fuck.
So once her plan backfired again, I think this plan was way easier than her stealing the drugs from the cartel, but hey, more power to her or whatever. So he gets to another country. He thinks he's safe in the cartel. He had mentioned earlier when Fassbender's like, what do I do with the money? And he said, I put my money in offshore accounts. Mm-hmm. But he's very secretive about his offshore accounts. He said, I can tell you about it. I'm just not going to tell you about mine. So that's what she needed. Natalie Dormer had sex with him or whatever, flirted with him, got his code, his password and passcode. But she said, this won't do any good if you don't have the computer. And she's like, let me worry about that. So that was the thing.
But it's just his money. Like, that's just the money that he has. Like, she just pivots her plan
because
to robbing him.
He's been doing this for a while at $20 million a pop. So even if he's done only 4 or 5, he's got $100 million in offshore bank accounts.
But that's just like so stupid from a storytelling perspective that like the bad guy has this whole plan, it doesn't work out, and then she's like, well, I'm just going to rob this guy. I'm already doing illegal stuff. Might as well just
Which is
rob
way
him.
easier. It was way easier than her original plan. I didn't say it made sense.
Yeah.
But that's what happened. That's
start with that plan.
Thematically, it works, though, because she's famished. She doesn't get the first meal. She's going to just go for that next burger, man. She's famished.
Shall we think about ordering? I'm famished.
I have a question.
What's up, Mikey?
Why does Javier Bardem stop to pick up his cheetahs before he runs away from the cartel? Why
None
does
of them
he
had
make
any
that?
very good survival instincts.
The CGI cheetahs look horrible coming out of that
I thought they looked
car,
okay
dude.
until they stepped over his body. I was like, oh my God, that's so bad.
When they're coming out of the car, they did not look good.
Embarrassing.
It looked like a car commercial, and actually, I felt like there are several commercials in this movie that was kind of distracting. Ford, Heineken,
United Airlines,
Apple.
How much does it cost for Brad Pitt to say Heineken in a movie? Like flat.
Who's drinking
dollars.
Heineken at noon?
Heineken's a good beer. I mean,
it's not.
I don't hate Heineken. It's fine. It's
German beer is not for everybody, but it's okay.
Is Heineken a German beer?
I don't know. Probably.
It's a Dutch beer.
It's a Dutch beer.
Amsterdam.
Whatever. Same thing.
No. No. I'll put my foot down there. German beer is far superior. But
we just lost all of the Netherlands, Stevie. Great
good.
job.
I don't like your beer.
Maybe Matt Troll can tell us what he thinks. He lives in Europe.
Troll! Josh, on
You don't
that
like Stella
note,
Artois? Love Stella.
Stella Artois?
Yeah.
Josh, give me your yes or no. Because I feel like you're going to give this movie a yes. And I'm just going to shut my computer off when you do.
Thanks for setting me up like that. I appreciate it. Sometimes I try to bury the lead, but this movie is one of those bottom feeders you see going up the side of the aquarium, sucking its way up the glass. It's a no.
Just a no, not a no dog, not a hell no, just a no.
I will say it's a soft no.
Pretty much a yes. Mikey?
Mike Marvin, oh boy. I want to say take your money back, but you already gave it to us. I really hated I don't know why this was your pick, Mike Marvin. It seems just like a very boring pick. I don't know if this was a troll pick, because if it was, good job. But I did not like this movie at all. It was just very boring. And when you're talking about like cartels and drugs and sexy Brad Pitt and sexy Michael Fassbender and sexy Penelope Cruz, it's just so boring. And like, I don't understand. Ridley Scott had made such a boring movie with all of these people and these plot devices of drugs and cartels and stuff. It just doesn't make any sense to me, but it's a hard no. Just so bland. It's milk. It's just milk to me.
Toast.
Yeah.
Brett?
All right. You know what? Believe it or not, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to give it when I came in. Only because I thought the second half was a lot stronger than the first half, but that's not saying that much. I'm going to give it a soft no. It's not very good. It could have been, maybe he picked it because it's got a killer cast. I mean,
he thought it'd be interesting for us to talk about. It was a no from him as well.
Javier Bardem, Oscar. Penelope Cruz might have an Oscar
nominee, I believe.
Brad Pitt, Oscar. I mean, it's just Cormac McCarthy needs to stick to writing books. That's better medium for him. And Ridley Scott, I'm really sad that you dedicated this movie to your brother, who had just passed away, who's also a pretty good director. So, soft no, but disappointing. I didn't hate it like everyone else hated it, but you guys have made me realize that it was not very good at all.
Brett, are we still friends?
Yes, we're friends.
Jeez,
You've done a lot worse things to me than that.
Brett, Penelope Cruz did win an Oscar.
Vicky Cristina Barcelona.
There you go.
Where she met Javier Bardem, I believe, at Woody Allen movie.
Ooh.
With Josh's boo, Scarlett.
Oh.
No.
That's a Woody Allen
It's like a
movie?
threesome.
Yikes.
Oh. All right. I think definite no. Mike Martian. I actually like that you picked this because I'm kind of obsessed with how bad I think this movie really is. Like, literally, like when I was like really starting to slow things down and like try and understand characters' motivations and like themes that I think the movie's trying to accomplish, it just gets kind of like worse and worse the more I think about it, and it was worse the second time when I watched it than the first time. And I almost want to watch it again to like figure out what makes it so bad. I don't even know if we've like really figured out why it's so bad. Like,
you want to see what the floor of it is? Like, what's the bottom basement?
I think so. Okay, Ridley Scott, now 5 Movie Club, great director, one of the great directors of his time, is up and down in movies, but has made some really important work. The thing about Ridley Scott though is like, I don't know if I can like watch 5 minutes of a Ridley Scott movie and be like, that's a Ridley Scott movie. You know what I mean? It's not like that he has this like distinctive auteur style about him.
Agreed.
Which I don't know. It's like Gladiator's like so different than The Martian. That's so different than Alien. That's so different than like Blade Runner. You know what I mean? All of those great movies, but like very, very different. Like I think this movie needed someone with like who was going to inject more auteurism style, like a Guy
Fincher.
Ritchie.
Fincher would have been
Fincher,
cool.
yeah, that's actually a pretty
Fincher
good
would
one.
have worked.
Guy Ritchie too.
Even Edgar Wright. I think Edgar Wright could have done a version of this movie that'd be like very entertaining. That would have like leaned on the comedic moments and like done a better job of like bringing those
If Edgar
out.
wrote
And like,
it, yeah.
it's sad because, you know, I talked about Alien. You think about like the sexual imagery in that isn't subtle by any means, but it's just such a better way to introduce like sexual themes in your movie than just like, hey, let's start off with like Michael Fassbender eating out Penelope Cruz and like making it as crude and as blunt as possible. Basically, it's just a really disappointing movie. It's really, really bad. I'm with Stevie. I think this is just like maybe like a tax fraud thing. Like I feel like no one actually like really gave a shit about it potentially, but man, long yes or no for me, hard no. But man, what a horrible movie this was. I hate it.
Oh, not to jump on the train, Papa. I absolutely hate this movie with a burning passion. It's just so incoherent at times and is probably 40 minutes longer than it needs to be. It's honestly hard to watch. None of the characters are engaging in the slightest. And quite frankly, I mean, even when it's, you know, showing kind of its opulence, there's a YouTube channel called Architectural Digest that I think this movie is trying to be half the time, which look how beautiful these houses are. Look how beautiful this car is. And that YouTube channel is by far and away far more interesting than this movie ever gets. I just hate this movie so much. I'm happy that Mike picked it. Thank you. It was actually somewhat fun to talk about, but I will never, ever watch this movie again. And what's his name? Cormac McCarthy. My God, sir, you are a horrific screenwriter. You're an amazing novel writer. But literally, if you told me that your teenage grandson wrote this and you just took credit for it, I would not be shocked. Like, this is a
Stick to books, nerd.
horrifically awful movie. And movies, I'm sorry, they start in the writing. And when he finished that script, this movie was just, it was done from the get. So I think he kind of proved his own point with the writing and Michael Fassbender's character. So there you go. Never watching this movie again. Hard no.
Hey, I got a question for Stevie and a comment for the crew. The comment, sad for me, but Ridley Scott has actually never won an Oscar for directing.
Who do you lose to than Gladiator?
Steven Soderbergh for Traffic, which is like 1,000 times better movie. It's similar to this, like similar.
Traffic is far better than this movie.
Oh yeah, no, I'm saying, but I'm like, I feel like they were kind of almost going for that. But yeah, he lost.
Soderbergh did Traffic?
Yep.
Really? That's awesome. Didn't know that.
Okay, who is worse? Cormac McCarthy at screenwriting or Stephen King at directing?
Oh.
Good question.
I think they both did one apiece, so they're batting 1,000 on being awful.
No, Stephen King's is fun to watch. He just was
But he was
shitty.
bad.
I would
He was
watch
just shitty about like his
what
buddy
did he
getting his
direct?
eye
Maximum
poked
Overdrive.
out.
Maximum
Oh,
Overdrive.
Maximum
Mike,
Overdrive.
you weren't on that pod?
No.
Oh my god,
I
you would have
would
so much
rather
fun.
watch Maximum Overdrive again
Yeah,
than,
Josh is right. It's funny.
than this movie ever again.
But Pat, bat me up here. The reason he stopped directing is because his director of photography's eye got poked
I
out. He
was
didn't
gonna
take
say,
credit
Josh,
for
you're-
it.
You're wrong for the right reasons. Like that's 100% why he's worse. He fucking cost a man his eye. He's an infinitely worse director. Like this just. I only lost 2 hours of my life. I guess 4 because I watched this twice because of because of the Kenny McCormick, whatever his name is. Like,
before we get into trivia, let me just say something that's somewhat relevant with the times. We're gonna do a Snyder Cut podcast, but for those of you who haven't watched it yet, woof. That's
Gotta
all I'm
love
gonna
it,
say.
guaranteed.
It is on the level of The Counselor. So,
stop.
let's see here. Let's do trivia. Let's go from Isis to Isis this time. This movie brings up a catfish in a fish tank that kind of just sucks along the side of a tank, eating the shit and whatnot. My question to you guys: largest catfish ever caught on record. How much did it weigh?
Didn't we just do... No, that was a C.
All about animal weights. I thought we had maxed out the potential of
Come
this
on,
type of
Josh.
trivia.
Redemption again. You got to win this.
we need to make a YouTube video supercut of animal weight trivia and just have it be Josh's redemption arc put together.
You know, my dad was in Florida this week for the first time in a long time, and on his first day, he caught 12 catfish.
Damn.
So, since I'm kind of an expert on catfish now...
This is freshwater catfish, by the way.
Freshwater catfish.
Freshwater, not fish
I
of the
don't
seas.
fuck with freshwater catfish. I don't know any of those facts. I only know saltwater catfish facts.
Let's go with... God, it's got to be...
Yeah, what's the order here?
Isis to Isis.
Okay.
Man, I have no idea how much these...
Winner gets to take us out.
I couldn't even guess.
33 pounds.
No way. It's not even close.
I believe you. If it's not even close, I would not be surprised. I have no idea.
It's got to be like 250. That's my guess.
Okay, hold on.
250 pounds?
Dude, catfish are fucking huge. They can get
Brett says
massive.
33. Mikey says 250.
Yep.
George going for the win, not to embarrass himself again.
I think at Citrola's, the old Citrola's at Fort Myers Beach, there's a picture of a dude with a catfish.
It's a saltwater fish.
But it's probably saltwater. But it was huge. So my historic guess has always been, I think, 1,200, right, Stevie?
Yeah, that's right.
Is that what I typically guess?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with that.
Oh, Josh is losing in the sequel. All right. What you got, Pap?
It's a trilogy.
Well,
It's trilogy.
Many of us are fans of the University of Notre Dame football team, and I know for a fact that famed linebacker Manti Te'o was catfished by a man who weighed approximately 180 pounds. So I'm going to go with 180 pounds.
180 pounds. Let me do the math here. Ding. And retail price says largest catfish on record, fellas, was 9 feet long. I shit you not. It's called the Mekong giant catfish.
Mekong.
This thing weighed a grand total of 650 pounds, making Mikey our winner on the return.
I wasn't even close, though. That's a big boy.
But, Josh, I won't make fun of you. You were closer than you were when you tried to say that a wolf weighed 1,400 pounds. So, you're good to go.
Josh was thinking saltwater fish. Saltwater catfish.
Yeah.
You can see the mistake.
Mikey's so happy you won trivia.
So what do I win? I get to bash Mike Marvin's pick again? What do I get to do?
Yeah, just give Mike Marvin the Martian some thanks.
Mike Marvin, thank you so much for your patronage on Patreon. Really do appreciate it. Going forward, I would like people to pick movies that they like or are interesting for 2 hours rather than anything closely related to The Counselor.
It was fun to talk about, though.
Jeez.
It was fun to talk about.
This was a fun pod.
We probably should have had him on if we wanted to talk about it, because we didn't have anything to talk about this movie. We probably should have got an extra voice from him or something. Maybe next time.
Before we head out, though, Pappy, what do we have coming down the pipeline, and how can people get a hold of us or subscribe to our Patreon?
You got this. I don't have that in front of me. You can look it up.
Dude, it's a tradition unlike any other. Come on.
Pass.
God. Making me go to Trello and shit. Alright, Syria.
Maximum Overdrive's coming up.
A Brett pick following that. Well, I don't even know what I can say. The Snyder Cut is coming out. Like, what more can I even reveal at this point? A punishment movie for you, Stevie?
Yeah.
Well, they know we're doing my movie because we announced it like 2 weeks ago.
Which movie,
I don't know
Brett?
the order of this.
What is it?
Three Ninjas.
Oh, yeah.
Classic. Well...
And then what's the Patreon? I always screw this up too. It's patreon.com /spoilers podcast. And it only costs $5 to request a movie. We appreciate it if you stick around. You're not obliged to. But it definitely
Why do you put that thought in their head?
Yeah, don't do that.
Because people subscribe and forget. Set it and forget it. That's the only reason Netflix is still in business today. But yeah, I don't know. We appreciate all patrons, big and small. Staunchers to rock hard Viggo Mortensen's. You're all welcome, part of the Spoilers family.
And don't let Money Mike discourage you. Please pick any movie you want. We will review it, no matter how awful and boring it is from a famed director that I'm pretty sure this movie was just a tax write-off and he wanted a new home. Anyway,
and even if we don't want to be on it, I mean, we will be shamed and screamed at until we're on it.
It's true.
All right, let's get into it. Brett, why didn't you want to be on this episode?
It's not that I just...
Come on.
It's Oscar season. March Madness is on right now. The Snyder Cut just came out today.
Snyder Cut season?
It's Snyder Cut season, it's March Madness season, and it's Oscar
I was supposed to
season.
be going to Elkhart on Saturday, so I wanted an extra night to spend with my wife, but, you know.
I'm glad you were on the podcast, Brett. It was fun.
I was having fun until I got called dumb by Josh, so...
Whoa, that's not even what I was saying at all.
I don't got no education.
He was saying you were a big brain, dude.
He said, do you really think you know what happened after one viewing?
No one does. Not even Michael
One viewing
Fassbender.
and some reading. That's what I did.
I'm scared to ask, how long do you guys think Snyder Cut season will last? Is it going to be more than a week people are talking about this?
Oh, we got
or...
5 years ahead of us, Mikey. we got a decent 5
Until
years.
the next Justice League movie comes out?
You wanted to do a Snyder Cut commentary? We're actually going to do a Snyder Cut minute-by-minute breakdown
Oh my
yes. on the feed.
A whole new feed.
Discussing 0 to 60 seconds starting this Thursday. So
I
get
will
ready
not
for
be
that.
on that pod next week. By the way, the next time spoiler people hear my voice, I will be in my late 30s. So, you know, we'll see if I make
Happy
it. I have
birthday,
another 9 days to go, but 8 days to go, but
You have to do a call-in because you're probably going to be the only one who likes the Snyder Cut.
Corey will
you
like
probably
it.
need a defense.
At least you guys are going in with an open mind.
Corey's the most negative person this side of Jordan in the history.
I'm just
of
saying,
spoilers.
I
don't
went
know.
in with a very open mind, and yeah, that's.
I don't think you did, Stevie.
Oh, 100%. Believe me.
You wanted to hate it. Mikey wants to hate it. Mikey will be devastated if he likes it.
So everyone first thought it was going to be trash, and then people came out and said, hey, it's awesome. And now Stevie is the next wave of doubt. Stevie says it's trash again.
I'm just saying, I've seen a lot of movies in my time, and a lot of different kinds of movies. This is one of the rougher, it's one of the roughest movies I've ever seen.
Well, it's 4 hours. I think if you would have broke it up, you might have been better off.
It's not coherent, Brett. It's a collection of ideas that are just scattered.
Well, that's what we thought it was going to be. It is what we thought they were.
That's your same criticism of this movie, though, Stevie. Is that more than a coincidence? Is the cartel after you
I'm
now?
just saying, I watched 3 hours of Snyder Cut, Freaky Deaky, this movie, and The Red Wedding, all in the same day, and The Red Wedding was the happiest I've been all day.
Oh my God.
What does Stevie know? He's on record saying that Legend is Ridley Scott's best movie. So what does he
I
know?
didn't say it was his best movie.
You did.
Hey,
Check it
I'm
out.
going to hook up
Episode
my
of him and,
CRT TV and watch it the way Snyder intended. What's his first name?
Zach.
Of course it
Zack
is.
Snyder intended. On a CRT TV in 4:3 format, the way he intended. God himself, Zack Snyder intended.
It looks like an 80s TV movie is what it looks like. You know what? Let's get into it next week. I love you guys. Thanks for listening. That was Spoilers.
Special thank you to our patrons, Matt Troll, Brother Brian, Druid King, Nick. If you'd like to request an episode, hear your name read by Spoiler Man, or even just help us make podcasts, please check us out on patreon.com/spoilerspodcast.
I don't know the URL and I can't read it. It's so scary, Stevie.
Why do you do that to me?
Because it's so important to say the URL right, and I don't know
tradition
it.
unlike any other.
Spoilers podcast.
And when
It's a tradition unlike any other. I pass it to you
when I say
on
the
the
URL
spot.
wrong, you're
You
like,
get
"Yep,
frustrated.
yep, that's it."
It's a tradition unlike any other, and you threw it back at me.
Was she? Michael Fassbender is actually known for having a huge dong. Do you think at the beginning when she says "you've ruined me" for other men, is that what she was talking about?
I think he was good at sex.
Michael Fassbender's known for being hung. That's like a thing.
Oh yeah, he does full frontal in that movie
He's
Shame.
hung dong several times. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, it's swinging in the breeze. It's quite a sight to behold.
Why is this off air right now? Why
No,
did
it's
this
on
not come up?
hijack.
Why wasn't this on air, Brett?
I don't know. I don't want to be known as the penis guy.
I mean, we talked about Willem Dafoe's dong in length.
Yeah, I did. I don't want to be known as the penis guy.
And
in length
girth.
and girth.
It's a big, veiny, triumphant bastard, but it was.
Well, actually, you know
Until
who
it
else
got
is
flat.
known for having a huge dong? Of course, Liam Neeson.
Really?
Well, he's like
Yeah.
6'4".
They said the lady he was with said it was like an Evian bottle.
Oh my god!
Shape?
Hope it wasn't his
length?
late wife.
No, but there's actually websites. There's like jokes. Like it's like a whole set of jokes that's like Liam Neeson's dick is so big, and it's like they're like really funny jokes.
That was Spoilers.